Hey, what's up class? My name is Desiree, and before I get started on today's lesson plan, I had a few questions for you guys. Question 1. Do you guys have plants? Question 2. Did your plants start to turn brown? Question 3. What struggles did you guys have with plants? So those are the 3 questions that I had to ask you guys. A little backstory about why I wanted to make this video is because my roommate actually had a plant and it started to die. She was like, I'm just gonna leave it outside and wait for it to die. And in my head I said, oh, just because it's brown doesn't mean it's completely dying. You could always save it. And I thought, why not make this video for you guys so you guys have a little bit of insight on how to take care of plants. So first, let's start off with what type of plants I have. So this is my first plant. This is called an Anthurium. And as you can see, it's a little bit too big for its pot, and there's some brown spots on there, like this white flower. Ooh, look at that. That's so brown. Even the stem is brown, and that's something that we're gonna have to cut off, and I'll show you guys how to cut it off. But here's a 360 view of my Anthurium. It's white. Oh, look, there's another brown spot. Wow, that's something that we'll get to cutting too. So now, up next we have this spider plant. And this is actually the plant that my roommate was gonna leave out to die until I trimmed all the brown parts. And it looks a little bit nicer, but I think it could use a bigger pot so that it can grow. Hey guys, so we are on my computer. The first thing that we will have to do is our research. And I do know the name of my plants, which I do recommend you guys should find too. Mine is called the Anthurium, which is right there, and the spider plant, which is right next to it, right there. So let's go to Google and we'll search up about Anthurium. Anthurium care, why not? So how do you take care of an Anthurium plant? Anthurium plants don't like continually moist soil. Make sure to water your Anthurium plant regularly, but don't overwater. Only water your Anthurium when the soil is dry to the touch. The plant is susceptible to root rot, so too much water can cause the roots to die. Let's see other things. How often to water? Should be watered once a week. In the summer it can be watered more frequently, but twice a week should be enough. Another thing that I was planning to do today is also to repot it. So I searched up water, so now let's search up how to repot it. Every 2 to 3 years, or once they've outgrown their current pot. When your Anthurium has grown to 20 inches tall in a pot with a 5-inch diameter, it's time to graduate it to a new pot. I think it's time my plant needs to be potted. How do you take care of an indoor spider plant? Because that's for me. Spider plant needs are simple. Place the plant in a bright to moderate light in a room that's a comfortable temperature for everyone. Keep the soil slightly moist. Once a week watering is sufficient in spring and summer. In winter, allow the soil to dry a bit more between waterings. Pruned should be cut at the base of the plant. That's actually very important, and that's for most plants. Which is how I trim my Anthurium, because I've also had to trim that before. And I searched up how to repot a spider plant. Should I repot my spider plant? Repotting spider plants simply means moving spider plants to larger pots. It is often necessary to repot houseplants as they outgrow their pots, and spider plants tend to grow faster than most. These same water-storing tuberous roots assist your spider houseplant to survive when you forget to water it for a few weeks. Okay, so now we're done with our research and we'll get to our next step. Okay guys, now we're on to our next step, which is watering. So for the watering step, we basically searched it up. For the Anthurium, it doesn't have to be watered as much and the soil has to be completely dry before watering. And for our spider plant, the spider plant needs to have a little bit more water and it should only be watered when it's dry to the touch. At least 1 inch deep, not too deep. So let's go check on that right now to see if it needs watering. So here is our Anthurium again. Wow, so nice. And we're just gonna touch it to the touch. And that's pretty dry, actually. That needs watering, so I will go water that for our spider plant. Ooh, that one's pretty dry too. That one might need a little bit of watering. To water that, I just put it inside the sink under the water for like a few seconds, and we'll go do that right now actually. So right now we're outside in my outside sink, and these are the 2 plants I have in there. I'm gonna turn on the water, and that was way too much water, so I like to put just a little bit of water, fill it up in my hand like what I'm doing here, and trickle it into the pot. I don't like messing around with the soil as much when I'm watering. And when I'm done watering the spider plant, I'm gonna do the same thing to the Anthurium. But for this plant, because the leaves are a little bit bigger, I try to wet it all over the place so that everything gets the water, not just the soil. And once I'm done watering the leaves and the soil, I like to leave it on the sink to let it drain just for like probably a few hours, and then I'll come back outside and put it back into my room when it's all done. So now that we've done our research, oh, and by the way, I know the research took a very long time, but that's something that you should take your time with when you're doing research so that you know how to take care of your plants and you kind of understand it a little bit better. So now that we've done our research and I explained that a little bit to you guys, it's time to get the materials, which will go right now. So the first place that we're heading to is Walmart, and it's right there. So when we went to Walmart, the first thing that we did was go straight to the plant section. There we are. And when I went there, all they had was plant food. All of this plant food. So then we decided to go to Lowe's. And here at Lowe's, I didn't film much, but I was able to get potting mix and some pots. There's a little bit of footage of me scanning some pots. We'll see you at home. Hey guys, now that we have our potting mix in our pots, now we can go outside to the balcony and start to repot our plants, which is actually probably one of the last few steps that we have to do. Hey, what's up you guys? So now we're in my balcony and I have the Anthurium set right there, along with, I got this white Daiso pot. So if you don't want to go to Walmart or Lowe's, you can always go to Daiso, but it's kind of rare when they have them. I was lucky enough to get them from my boyfriend's mom, so thanks to her. And now let's get started with repotting of this plant. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to fill up your new pot a third to a halfway full with the potting mix. In this, I accidentally put too little and I should have put a lot more. The next thing you want to do is to take out your plant from the old pot. So I squeeze I squeezed it all around and then I wiggled it from the base slowly, and then it popped off just like that. And I did the mistake that I made when repotting my Anthurium was I didn't really fluff out the roots a little bit so that it knows that it's in a new pot, but it's okay, we learn from our mistakes. And then I'm just gonna take off the dead flower that's right there, and after I take off whatever is dead, I fill up the pot with the potting mix until it's full, or until it's at the base of the plant. It's a little low because I did put it a half or a third way. I could have put more, like I said earlier. I didn't record myself doing this because the camera got cut off. I watered the plant a lot and then I left it out for a day before putting it back inside. And now let's move on to the next plant. So we're on our next plant, which is the spider plant, and just like before, we're gonna fill it up with potting mix, about a third to a half bay full. And then once that's done, we are going to pick up the spider plant and try to take it out of its old pot by squeezing it all over, trying to get it out. Loosen everything up first, and then we're gonna flip it over and fastly try to take it out just like that. So unlike before, we're not gonna do the mistake of not fluffing out the roots. So this is me fluffing out the roots right here. And I like to use my hands because I can feel the roots to see if they're breaking, if I'm putting too much pressure or anything on there. And once that's done, we are just gonna put it back into the pot and start to fill it up with potting mix on the sides. Right here I'm using a shovel because it's easier to get to the sides, and the leaves on my spider plant are very sensitive and can break easily, so I don't like touching it as much. And we're just going to continuously do that. Right here I'm using my hands now because we've gotten to the top, so it's easier to use my hands and I can. We're just going to fill it up as much as I can, and once that's done, I am gonna water these plants together in the sink and leave them both out for the day. Here's a quick clip of me watering plants as well as patting down the soil to compact it. And we're back. And that was actually the last step of this whole thing. So let's go over everything that we did today. So the first thing that we did was our research, which is always going to take a long time. The second thing that we did was learn how to water our plants. And I recommend always checking your soil every day to see if it's too dry. The third thing that we did was gather our materials from Walmart and Lowe's, but I do recommend going to Daiso because they do have cheaper pots there. And the last thing we did was repot our plant. And so now that you guys have all the steps and this video tutorial, I encourage you all to try this at home and let me know how it goes. For the assessment part of this, I would really encourage you, if you want to, if you have plans and you do plan to use this video as reference, I do encourage you to have a journal and take pictures of your progress and write down your progress of what you do. And if you would like, you could even send me your progress to my school email right here. Anyways, that's all. I hope you guys have a great day. Be safe, and that's all. Have fun.